Breaking news, a nun is safe tonight after she was taken for a ride against her will from West Adams to Boyle Heights.
And CBS 2's Rachel Kim is live where it all started, and she has the very latest. Rachel.
Yeah, Pat and Jeff, the robbery/kidnapping started here at the 76 gas station, and when it ended not too far away, well, Sky 2 was over it. Let's take a look at the scene from earlier. The LAPD says they got a call about a robbery and kidnapping here at Adams in Vermont around 4 this afternoon. Police say a 70-year-old woman who happens to be a nun was robbed and then forced to drive her own car. We're told the suspect was in the back seat armed with some sort of weapon. There was no pursuit, but police knew what vehicle they were looking for, the victim's Toyota Camry, and somehow they ended up in a parking lot at the intersection of Washington and Soto, where the suspect was taken into custody. Fortunately, in all of this, the woman was not hurt and is okay. Now, clerks here at the 76 gas station tell us the security video, they do have security video of what happens here at the gas station, but they aren't able to access it until their manager comes in tomorrow. Back to you in the studio.
Well, the Encino man accused of threatening Boston Globe journalists had plenty to say to our cameras tonight. FBI agents arrested him and found guns at his San Fernando Valley home.
But tonight he is out of jail, and CBS 2's Chris Holmstrom is live outside the man's home in Encino with further details. Chris?
Yeah, that's right. Neighbors tell me they are surprised that he was released on bail because the allegations against him include death threats.
Do you have a problem with the free press in America?
There is no free press in America.
68-year-old Robert Chain out on bail and speaking out after being charged with making violent threats against Boston Globe employees. FBI agents made the arrest early Thursday morning at his Encino home. Neighbors woke up to loud flashbangs.
My wife thought it was somebody shooting up the street, so we called 911, and they said, "No, it's us. Don't worry about it."
It all goes back to August 16th. According to prosecutors, Chain called the Boston Globe and told an employee, "You're the enemy of the people, and we're going to kill every expletive one of you. I'm going to shoot you in the expletive head later today at 4 o'clock. It was the same day the Boston newspaper published a full-page editorial to newspapers across the country to condemn President Trump's constant attack on the press. Prosecutors go on to say that Chain made 14 threatening calls.
Yeah, I would like to make one statement. America was saved when Donald J. Trump was elected president. Had Hillary Clinton, the criminal Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, whose emails were just hacked by the Chinese now.
Get out of here.
While Chain would not go into detail about the alleged threat, we're also learning the FBI seized 20 guns, plus hundreds of rounds of ammunition from his home.
I had no idea. He never was flashy with them. I never saw him. I never heard anybody say anything about it.
Chain is charged with one count of making threatening communications in interstate commerce. If convicted, it could be up to 5 years in prison. And a spokesperson for the Boston Globe released a statement. It reads in part, "While it was unsettling for many of our staffers to be threatened in such a way, nobody, really nobody, let it get in the way of the important work of this institution." Chain's next court appearance is next month in Boston. Reporting live from Encino, I'm Chris Holmstrom, CBS 2 News.
The president resumed his his insults, I should say, of the media tonight when he made a campaign-style appearance in Indiana. He reserved most of his venom for the New York Times and the Washington Post.
These are just dishonest, terrible people. I'm telling you that. Terrible people. Not all of them. Honestly, not all of them. I'd say 85%.
More to
The president was in Indiana to campaign for Republican Mike Braun, who's running for U.S. Senate. A Greyhound bus bound for Southern California reduced to rubble. Tonight, we talked to a Good Samaritan who rushed in after a big rig crashed into the bus head-on in New Mexico. CBS 2's Nicole Comstock is live in San Bernardino, where the bus was heading. Nicole.
That's right, Pat. That bus was supposed to make its way here to the 215 freeway in San Bernardino before it crashed this afternoon. And that Good Samaritan we spoke with tonight, he's from Southern California, and he said it was hard to know what to do in that situation to help anybody. Steering straight toward the horrific crash, Chris Jones starts to realize those are people, and pieces of metal and cargo resting in the center divider. And as he scans the road, there are no ambulances yet in sight.
Tractors rolled and trashed.
He was one of the first drivers who left his car in the middle of Interstate 40 in New Mexico to roll up his sleeves and help those who were seriously injured in the fatal Greyhound bus crash.
So just trying to help them, comfort them, calm them down, get them taken care of until EMS got there.
Chris is a SoCal native. He says the moment he approached the wreckage, his medical training as a Navy vet and a volunteer firefighter kicked into high gear.
I don't know exactly if people were launched out or not. All I know is there was people out of the bus. They were climbing out of the bus. They couldn't get out fast enough.
The bus was carrying 49 passengers and headed across state lines from New Mexico to Phoenix, then to San Bernardino, and eventually Los Angeles. Investigators say at least 7 people are dead and several others are seriously injured. At this point, it's unclear if any of the victims were headed home to LA or the IE.
They're trying to get an idea, who was hurt worse.
Investigators believe the tractor trailer blew a tire and crossed the median, colliding with the bus head on. And Greyhound says they are cooperating with this investigation and that right now the passengers and their family members are their top priorities. Reporting live in San Bernardino, Nicole Comstock, CBS 2 News.
And now to a mystery in Malibu. A 21-year-old man suddenly disappears in an area recently plagued by violence. And tonight his family is desperately searching for answers. CBS 2's Peter Dowd is live at the Lost Hills Sheriff's Station with more on the story tonight. Peter?
Jeff, right now investigators here are trying to figure out what happened to Matthew Weaver and if his disappearance could be linked to several other recent crimes in the area.
I can't rest until I find out what happened to him or where is he. This has been the biggest nightmare.
Nearly 3 weeks after Matthew Weaver mysteriously disappeared in Malibu Canyon, his family is still desperate for answers.
My biggest fear is just never finding him and never knowing what happened to him.
The 21-year-old from Simi Valley was last seen August 10th near a hiking trail at Stunt and Saddle Peak Roads. The same night he vanished, a witness called 911 after hearing someone in the area screaming for help. But first responders were unable to find anyone. They did later find Weaver's gray BMW left behind up a remote trail.
Why he would go down this road is beyond me.
Multiple searches both in the air and on the ground have come up empty, and Weaver's family is growing increasingly frustrated, especially since the area has been recently plagued by unexplained violence. In June, a 35-year-old man was shot in the head at Malibu Creek State Park while his daughter slept in a tent they were sharing. 2 other bodies were also recently dumped along roadsides, and other people have disappeared in the same vicinity. Weaver's loved ones can't help but wonder if there's a connection.
At this point, we know something happened to him, or he'd be around.
And Weaver's family says he often drove to Malibu for fun, although they have no idea why he would ever get out of his car. Investigators here, meanwhile, are asking anyone with information on his whereabouts or any of the other several crimes to give them a call. Live outside the Lost Hills Sheriff's Station, Peter Dowd, CBS 2 News.
Well, Riverside police are looking for a missing 12-year-old. Viviana Alvarado was last seen walking home alone from Sierra Middle School around 3 p.m. And she was also seen at Nichols Park. Her family is especially concerned because she needs to take medication to prevent seizures several times a day. Anyone with information is asked to call Riverside Police.
Observances for late Senator John McCain continue tomorrow in the nation's capital. And
CBS 2 political reporter Dave Bryan is here now with more on today's emotional remembrances.
Very emotional. And Arizona was the first of 3 stops on the way to John McCain's final resting place. Senator McCain left his beloved Arizona for the final time this evening, but not before an emotional funeral tribute. He'll be buried Sunday at the Naval Academy Cemetery in Maryland, next to a longtime friend and Academy classmate. Arizonans offered one last farewell to Senator John McCain, who represented them in Congress for more than 3 decades. The service at North Phoenix Baptist Church was moving.
To everything, there is a season.
It was musical. But above all, it was a celebration of a unique American statesman.
Senator McCain, It's been a true honor to call you friend.
Larry Fitzgerald is a wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals.
While some might find our friendship out of the ordinary, it was a perfect example of what made him an iconic figure of American politics and service to fellow man.
Former Vice President Joe Biden delivered the eulogy. He said his friendship with McCain endured despite their political differences.
We understood the same thing. All politics is personal. It's all about trust. And I trusted John with my life.
A bagpiper played in a nod to the senator's Scottish heritage. The service for the Maverick senator concluded with Frank Sinatra's My Way. Now the farewell to Senator McCain now moves to Washington. His body arrived at Joint Base Andrews this evening. Tomorrow, McCain will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. A memorial service with McCain's congressional colleagues will be held in the morning. Then the rotunda will be open to the public. Jeff, back to you.
Dave, thank you. Well, stay with us. Still ahead. A driver plows into a man. The victim, amazingly, just a few injuries. That story ahead. Plus this.
Can you finally have a cocktail while you hang with Mickey Mouse? The big change at Disneyland. That's all thanks to Star Wars.
I was making my sandwich in peace, and now there's an earthquake!
And a Covina girl's priceless reaction to this week's earthquake.
Hi, everybody. I'm Garth Kemp. Get ready for the long weekend. Time forecast coming up.
And here's a look at the guests tonight on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.